Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. I'm 48 male. Girlfriend is 44 female. Her daughter is 21 female. My sons are 23 male and 25 male. But they're mostly irrelevant to this post. I've been dating my girlfriend for 6 years. Years ago, I bought both of my sons' homes. I told them both the same budget. Go find a house you like and let me see it, and I'll buy it for you. It was college graduation gifts, sort of. I promised the same to my stepdaughter. Graduate college, get a home wherever you want with a $200,000 budget. I firmly believe you can't get far in life with the current apartment rental rates, so this takes a major load off of your shoulders. Well, she graduated this past April and my girlfriend is bugging me to get the ball into motion on getting her a house. The thing is that when I made that promise years ago, I assumed we would be married by now. I want to get married, but she doesn't want to. I told her I don't feel comfortable buying a house for someone not officially in the family, if that makes sense. Now the promise is if we get married, she can have a house, but I made a compromise. I could buy her a house, but it remains in my name. My fear is that if I buy a house for someone, my girlfriend and I don't work out and split, then I've basically bought a house for a stranger. Am I being an a-hole here? If it makes a difference, my girlfriend is a stay-at-home mom. My stepdaughter lives with us. Stepdaughter works in a hospital right now, but it's relatively far. City over 40 minutes drive. I'm retired but have large savings, so I'm the only one with the money to make it happen. OP, I'm sure you made the promise thinking you and your girlfriend would be married by now. It makes sense for you to reconsider as you wonder if you two are ever going to get married. You not wanting to buy something that expensive for someone who you aren't sure will be legally your family makes sense. Because if things don't go so well with you and her mom, you would regret the gift and you would be bitter about it. You really shouldn't have made the promise in the first place. But now that you have, I think your compromise makes sense. You buy her the house, she gets to live in it, but it remains in your name. With this, you would be protecting yourself from a lifetime of regret and also fulfilling your promise to your stepdaughter. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. First, you're extremely generous with your children. Buying your kids their first home is a huge head start in life. I think your compromise is fair. $200K is a lot of money to part with, without a commitment and/or family bond. Seems fair that the house is in your name until you and girlfriend tie the knot. Wow, you're the a-hole responses are completely ridiculous. OP has a valid point. They aren't married. That's his girlfriend and his girlfriend's kid. If they split up, he basically bought a house for his ex-girlfriend's child. Legally, they're not even family to this guy nor his kids. $200K is a lot of money to drop on a girlfriend's child. Anyone with common sense wouldn't do that. Stop fixating on the promise and use your logic-giving brain. No a-holes here. It was a verbal offer based on certain assumptions that haven't played out. It's not legally or otherwise enforceable. Think about whether it makes sense to put conditions on this money. In effect, you're pressuring your girlfriend to marry you. And would you want someone to marry you so their child can get a down payment? The other alternatives, you own the house, etc., would be hard to enforce if the relationship with your stepdaughter goes south. Whether you remain together with her mom or not, consider gifting some amount to your stepdaughter with no strings attached. It's a different deal than what you gave your sons, but that's reasonable, given that there are no blood or legal ties between you. Story 2. I thought my son was a great guy, 26 years old. Runs his father's business, handles responsibility well, etc. I don't see him as much as I would like to because he's made his career his life. However, we used to be exceedingly close when he was growing up, and he's still close to me. I just don't see him often because his dad and I split up many years back, and he chose to follow his dad into the world of mechanics. My goddaughter is 21 years old, so a little younger. She's almost 6 months pregnant and the father wants nothing to do with her. He won't even pay child support. He was a tourist in the US and my goddaughter couldn't verify his identity before he left. The cell she was using to contact him is now dead. and we've heard no reply from him. For the last few months, she's been in absolute turmoil. She's like my own daughter. She lives close by and her mom passed away many years ago. She even calls me Mama sometimes, so it's my duty to love and care for her. She's struggling with finances, with appointments, etc. Feeling lonely and scared. She mentioned her friends are judgmental and have dropped her. She wants to keep the baby, but her mental health is suffering. She mentioned to me that she would have loved my son to be her friend like he used to, because they used to be very close. I thought I would ask my son to come by so I could speak to him. He's single and I think he could look after her wonderfully and step in as a father or uncle figure to the baby. She also mentioned that she missed his support, etc. I asked him, it was just me and him in the house, if he would help her. I said I wasn't asking for a relationship, just if he could be there and take her to appointments, be more of a friend and go with her to places like restaurants, so she wasn't lonely, etc. I asked if he would support her, etc., as she has supported us in the past. She has done a lot for us and him and is completely deserving of love. He absolutely lost his mind, telling me I was trying to dump a mistake into his lap, etc. He demanded if he was expected to pay for these restaurant trips, etc. I said, of course not. I'm just asking you to be a friend. He said, not my baby, not my problem. He left and hasn't spoken to me since. I feel completely disrespected but also incredibly weary as he has never done anything like this before. Perhaps I just don't know him as well as I used to. But the boy I knew was so friendly and helpful. His attitude over her seems completely unwarranted. He definitely judged her for being pregnant. I spoke to my son's father, who is always a good judge of character, and he said that our son was crude but not wrong. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole, OP. Your son is this person and 26 years old. You have no say in what he does with his life or who he should and should not support. I understand your goddaughter is having a rough time and she is basically your other kid. But maybe you should have asked him why they aren't friends anymore. Ask his opinion of her first. If he doesn't have any bad feelings about her, then you can take it slow by just asking him to take her out once and see how she's doing. Throwing all of that at him the way you did and expecting him to just go along with it was really rude and presumptuous. Now for some comments. Being a good friend doesn't mean he would have to take her to all her appointments and also play father figure. And you suggesting that is outrageous, manipulative, and honestly disgusting. This is unfair because you just asked him to make a massive change in his life and participate in raising a child that isn't his. You're also trying to force your son to raise a child with your pseudo-daughter, which is bizarre in and of itself. You're the a-hole. You asked him to be a dad or uncle figure, take her to doctor's appointments. This is way beyond friendship and a ridiculous amount of responsibility to put on someone. To me, it even sounds like you're implying you want him to help her financially. If you just want him to be a friend, you need to present it way differently. Maybe you didn't mean it how you said it. I honestly hope you didn't. Because I'm sorry, but this is so ridiculous. Your son has no obligation to be a father figure to anyone's child except his own. It's pretty clear that you want your son and your goddaughter to play happy families with a new baby. And it's also pretty clear that your son doesn't want that. You need to respect that and stop trying to force a relationship. Even if it's only a close friendship, that's not there. Also, your son is already running a business. Presumably, this takes a fair amount of his time, and he doesn't want to spend his free time playing surrogate daddy. Let him live his own life, for F's sake. Story 3. My mother used to babysit my daughter for free when she was a toddler. Things changed along the way and I've divorced. I have my daughter Sam, 9, living with me on alternative weeks. I later married a man last year who has full custody of his daughter, Nat, 8. Sam and Nat are still at the bonding stage. They are indifferent to each other majority of the time, and I'm letting them take their time. I've taken another job recently and had to have someone look after the girls in my absence. When my mother heard of it, she volunteered herself for free. I thought that it was a great idea since Sam loves her. About a week after babysitting, I realized that my mother had obvious favoritism. She would give Sam most of her attention and side with her to tease Nat when they play games, also giving Sam extra pocket money when I wasn't looking and none to Nat. I know that my mother has known Sam for much longer and that Nat isn't related to her by blood, but she is really showing them a bad example and may make it more difficult for the girls to get along. I spoke to my mother privately about this, but she insisted that she was doing well as a babysitter as Nat was neither ignored nor abused. She made sure the girl also got fed and looked after. I asked my mother to treat them equally because Nat is my daughter too now, and she reminded me that Sam is my real daughter. After several attempts leading to the same results, I made up my mind when I saw Sam taking things from Nat's room without even bothering to ask. After telling off Sam for misbehaving, I hired a babysitter and asked my mother not to come anymore unless she would change her attitude. My mother is now saying that I'm being stupid for paying money for hiring an outsider instead of trusting my own mother free of charge. She also demanded that I have no right to deny her from seeing her granddaughter or forcing her to give anything to a child she doesn't know well. After a while, even Sam is pestering me asking to see Grandma, and Nat remains indifferent. I don't want to punish Sam for what my mother did, but this is a crucial time for the girls to get along. I'm not being pushy because I want them to do it themselves, and my mother would have made Sam a bully with her favoritism. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. Children will notice this and it will sow dissent between them. It will also probably fuel insecurities with the neglected child and more. This is unacceptable for her to do on many levels for the growth and development of your children. On top of this, it seems there is a risk that she is also encouraging the favored to abuse the other. Sure, she's taking care of them, but this will cause massive problems down the road for all parties involved. Not the a-hole. My mom passed in January, but she was the most loving and devoted grandmother a kid could ask for. When my fiancé moved in with his 2 kids, my mom immediately and without hesitation took them on as bonus grandkids and loved them the same as she did my own. Being that I'm a stepchild myself, I would have been floored to hear her refer to my biological kid as my real children. We are all family, blood or not. Your mom is an a-hole, and your stepdaughter will suffer in the long run for it. You made the right choice. Not the a-hole. You are right in doing what you're doing. I think you should sit your daughter down and explain to her that what Grandma was doing was wrong. That now that they're sisters, they should be treated equally. Ask her how she would feel if Nat had taken her things without asking, or if you have given Nat all the attention and teased her with Nat. I think your kid is old enough to tell right from wrong. She's just getting a bad example from Grandma. And explain to her that just because she and Nat aren't related by blood doesn't mean they aren't family.